Right? And what a great way to start. Let's come together and grow together, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are in for a treat today with Susan Postnikoff. She's going to talk about the power of listening to create peace. Now that's a juicy topic, right? So she is an empowered communication expert and speaker. She knows that sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer isn't advice or expertise, it's presence, it's listening. Susan brings more than 25 years of experience in the high pressure world of medical device sales and marketing. And what she's learned is that real connection doesn't come from talking louder, it comes from listening better. She's the author of the Empowered Communication series and a true advocate for helping people navigate complex interactions with clarity, empathy, and confidence. Whether she's training corporate teams or guiding individual growth, Susan brings a calm strength that reminds us all peace is something we can practice. So her favorite musician is Jamie Miller. I checked him out. You might want to too. And something that you might not know about Susan is she has been a professional beach volleyball player, which I can honestly say I've never met one, which is weird because Wyoming probably has lots of beach volleyball players, right? But we are super excited to have Susan with us. She's going to have a one to everybody gift and then a special one to one gift. So I want you to listen carefully because we're going to come up with a question on Susan's topic. Let's give a big warm welcome, 262 welcome, woo woo, to Susan Postnikoff.
Hey, good morning. And I'm going to apologize in the background because my daughter's getting the kids up right now for school, and I hear kids crying at my door, and I'm going to ignore them right now, which normally I would never do. I wanted to start off, I recently moved to Hawaii, and I am so going to apologize. I absolutely have to tell them to stop knocking on my door.
No worries. We'll continue talking a little bit. And here's the cool thing, Susan, we can't hear anything. There's a beautiful new filter in this world, and we can't hear anything. So talking about that, right? Those are the things that happen in life. Like those are the things that happen in life. You can prepare for everything, but you can't prepare for everything. You know what I mean? And it's so cool. I remember we look at that. Awesome. Well, you know what? Everything's meant to be. Hello, hello. And you know how interesting. We're talking about peace, and you're talking about how to master peace. And what happens is we were just saying, sometimes things come in from the side, and the best preparation was the things that you did before, the things that you've handled before. So Susan, if you'd like to take it away, and perfect.
How can I refuse this little sweetness over here? I mean, this is really what life is all about. So I wanted to start off. So I recently moved to Hawaii, and the most crucial thing I've learned since being here, everybody associates Hawaii with the word aloha. And I'm not sure if everyone knows the meaning of aloha is love. And in Hawaii, it's really about the whole spirit and way of life. And I have been so grateful for so many experiences. And on a daily basis, people in Hawaii demonstrate this aloha spirit. And a couple of examples. My daughter took her dog to a vaccine clinic, and she ended up getting stuck in the mud. Before I could get there to help her, she texted me to help her. A lady at the vaccine clinic said, "Oh, I'll call my husband. He'll come pull you out." Her husband came and pulled her out, within 10 minutes. And, going to the beach, with this one plus two others, we've got three children, 6, 4, and this guy's 1. And, we're carrying all the junk and stuff to go spend a day at the beautiful beaches in Hawaii. And when we're carrying all this stuff, from the car down the rocks to the sand to the beach, it's a lot of stuff to carry. And random strangers every single time come out and help. You don't have to ask for help. Help is offered. And I remember that growing up in the community I grew up in, we were always lending a helping hand. And then I spent 25 years in California, in LA, and that kind of thing, I I remember when I was moving just, a mile or so from one house to another, and I couldn't even pay to get people to help me move. I offered $30 an hour and nobody was interested. And I had some friends on low income. So the aloha spirit to me is so important, and it really is in alignment with my true inner desire to um, play a role in bringing world peace. And so coming to the concept of listening, a lot of people think of listening as, just hearing what's being said. But the truth is, listening is hearing plus interpretation. And interpretation is the real big deal because interpretation is something, while we're listening, we kind of think that everybody else is hearing the same message. But the message isn't so much what the speaker is saying as how we individually receive it. And each of us has a completely different set of experiences, of mentors and influencers throughout our lives. We had different religions, different political leaders, different family members, and all of the people, all of the experiences, all of the beliefs handed down to us, which many of us adopted without question. We were told this is how it is, and so we believe that to be true. And a lot of us actually carry around beliefs that don't actually align with our missions and values as we develop and as we grow, and our own values change as we grow. And so whether it's your education, significant experiences in your life, accidents, injuries, awards, recognitions, everything that we experience in our lives changes how we interpret a message as we listen and even as we speak. And so when it comes to listening, the best way to really become a great listener, first of all, it's so important to breathe, to remain calm and centered, and so that we don't get totally thrown off when something crazy happens that we weren't expecting. I expected the dogs to bark this morning. I didn't expect the children to be at my door before 6 a.m. They usually sleep a little later. It's how we handle the things that come at us. And I think in the world we're in right now, with so much division, so much opposition, so much polarization, people have forgotten the that we do have the ability to agree to disagree. And in many cases, people have forgotten that it's okay not to all share the same opinion. People fight to the death and destroy friendships and relationships, even with family members, over an opinion. And so many of us have come to believe that a particular opinion must be true, and we can find evidence of it. The thing is, everyone can find evidence of everything. I always talk about the concept of the scientific study method. I really think it's flawed because what do? We choose a hypothesis and set out to prove it. Well, we're biased. How do we do unbiased research? There is no unbiased research. In medicine, you can find a study to prove anything or disprove anything. So we really need to then listen from our hearts and listen within to our own hearts to really connect with each other, with spirit, with the world, with eternity, with the universe. We have so much information available to us through our heart, more so than through our ears, although certainly our ears provide a lot of great input, as do our eyes. And yet we can't even always believe what we see with our own eyes. So I really believe in trading judgment for compassion and understanding. In a um, in a personal world, when we truly listen, it is a very loving thing to do. And it allows others, as we're listening in any environment, to not just speak, it allows people to clear space. A lot of us are very full of information and full of have to do's, what to do's. And the best way to be able to become calm and centered and available is to clear some space. And so we often need to clear that space for ourselves. And so some of us have trouble stopping talking. I'm horrible for that at times. And and some of us have trouble listening. Now, when we can allow someone else to clear space, if we can get ourselves to just stop talking and listen long enough to allow someone else to clear space. A lot of times, we have this number one enemy of learning, which is also the enemy of listening, and that's I already know. And that's where we already know what they're about to say. I know I already know this. I don't need to hear this. Well, maybe we do. Maybe they're going to present something in a bit different light that we weren't expecting. And so we might actually learn something new. And even if we already knew and had it perfectly correct, by listening, we allowed them to better sort it out for themselves. Because as much as we already know, they might actually not know it as well as we do, and they might be trying to process. A lot of people, as they speak, are processing. And so when we listen, we're allowing them to process as well. From a business perspective, imagine the implications for human resources. Human resources managers are usually trained to be very good listeners and probably, had a lot of listening capacity before they got into that role, because listening is absolutely crucial to really understanding a situation. And then the other important thing, especially from, a conflict resolution or an HR perspective, is to listen to as many perspectives as possible. Something that tends to happen is we believe the first thing we hear or the first one who speaks about a particular situation. And it's really important to be listening objectively and without judgment. Like that judge is a danger area. And so when we can listen without judgment to all sides of an issue, we can learn more and we uncover information that we may have blocked if we were judging or if we were just simply not open and not willing to be that heartfelt listener and that connected. And from a sales and negotiation perspective, there's nothing better than asking a question and then shutting up and truly listening for what they say. And there are books like Spin Selling and other books that tell you, oh, ask this question and this question, and go, you need to get this and this and this, and then you're listening for them to, speak into, you're listening for keywords and key phrases. And active listening is a little bit like that. They're telling you to look for keywords and key phrases, and that triggers you to then give the input you need to give. As soon as you hear them say this, you got to tell them that. Well, no, because if you actually just keep listening until they're completely done their thoughts and processing their thoughts, you'll have gained a lot more information than you ever expected. And if you're open and centered and kind of in that, what I refer to as the Zen of listening, you then get to process it and you can kind of observe the entire interaction and everything that's going on. And you can start to see the filters you're listening through, the filters they're speaking through, and vice versa. And so that's what I really refer to as the Zen of listening. We each have our own little voice, and that little voice, everybody has a different name for it. And sometimes, within, I've got these little voices. Oh, that's my professor speaking. That's my teacher speaking. This is my, love, love listening. And at the same time, out in the world, the little voice that speaks is some people believe to be emotional intelligence. That's the business term for it, right? And the spiritual term for it may be intuition. What is the difference between emotional intelligence and intuition? What is the difference between that little voice? I mean, that is our intuition. When we're listening to it, that is our heart connection. That's where we're allowing ourselves to be connected to the universe and to really take in. So um, in wrapping up, there are two exercises I wanted to leave you with. Number one, sometime when you're out with your friends, especially if, you're with a group, or it can be at a work meeting, take the time to actually, use your hand and count to five, or, down under the table where nobody can see, or find some way to count to five. So when somebody stops speaking, instead of immediately responding, wait a full 5 seconds and see what happens. What you'll tend to find is they might not actually have been finished, or they may have something to add. And this is like the number one business tool in sales and negotiation, because they will just keep talking and spill information. And because most people are uncomfortable with silence, they will fill the space. And that's when they will tell you things they didn't even intend to tell you. You want to know if somebody's lying to you or misleading you? Yeah, all you got to do is just wait that 5 seconds, and things will come out. And if they really don't respond, or they're really done, a lot of times they'll be like, can you please respond? So it's okay to wait for them to tell you to respond. And then the second thing I want to leave you with, and this again is crucial in a work culture, and it's also really helpful with your family and even with your friends, with your PTA group, any groups you're associated with. And that is the concept, yes, that is the concept of positive gossip. So I have worked with organizations where we've instituted the rule. Yeah, we institute a rule that if you want to say anything, you must structure it as a positive statement. So if somebody, now you can still give criticism or feedback in a constructive manner with the intent of helping them and in a way that preserves their dignity. So it's not that you can't say anything that might be considered negative. It's the approach you take with it and the intent behind it. So around the water cooler, it's the typical thing. Oh, gossip, did you hear this? Did you hear that? Well, that's really destructive. It's destructive to relationships, it's destructive to individuals. But when you switch it and you make the rule that you're either saying something in a positive manner that you would be willing to say to them and would be helpful if you said it to them, that's a different story. And when you start getting in the habit of always saying what's good about someone, you bring them up. You change their identity. Our identity in the world lives in the conversations of others about us. And so when we can create these positive conversations about our coworkers, about us, it looks good on us, by the way. Nobody looks good putting somebody else down. You look like a jerk. So the person you're speaking to, if they're your best buddy, maybe they think it's cool, but somebody overhearing might not think it's so cool. And so just getting in this habit of always stating positive things about someone and with others is I've seen it transform a culture in a company in 2 weeks. And one specific example, I worked with a company where the founder of the company was very narcissistic. And so if somebody did something wrong, oh, how could you do the blah, 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 he'd berate them. Well, it took a really long time to help people understand that I would never berate them, that if there was an issue, what would happen, I'm going to give him a remote control to play with for a light. So what would happen is the people were so used to being berated that they wouldn't be honest if they had a problem. Well, what would happen? The problem would blow up, it would expand, it would become a problem then for the client or the customer that could have been dealt with before it got to that level if the person had a feeling that it would be okay for them to say, hey, I have a problem, or hey, I screwed up, I made a mistake. And then you could help fix it before it became a bigger problem. So the positive gossip in that culture, in that company, when we instituted the positive gossip rule, within 2 weeks, we had a cohesive staff that was completely supporting one another, and it was an incredible thing to see. So my two leave behinds, please take 5 seconds and spend an evening where you're in a conversation and always wait 5 seconds before you jump in and see how that goes. And people will think something's wrong with you. You'll have to reassure them that you're okay. You just really wanted to listen to what they had to say, and really try and institute the positive gossip because it is so transforming in a positive way.
Wow.
I was gonna say we gotta wait 5 seconds here.
Oh, you gotta wait 5 seconds. You were listening. I was enthralled. And, oh my goodness. So amazing. Yeah, so 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That was amazing. That was amazing. Wow.
I put in the chat empoweredcommunicationbooks.com. When you go to that website, you'll be offered without no credit, nothing, you'll be offered the opportunity to get the free book, the free ebook, and it will automatically be emailed to you.
Well, and we're going to do, if you haven't played with us before, if this is your first time playing with us, you are going to love this because every speaker has a free gift for everybody. Yay, you. So you have this digital swag bag that you get to pick up all day long. And if you go to the public 262 Facebook group, all of the speakers from yesterday, all of the speakers from today are going to go put their free digital gift, and you are going to rock your world with all the things that you are being gifted. Now, if you, Leslie is going to tell you about Susan's gift, and how you win that is because every speaker has one big woo, right? One big whoa. And it is a gift for one person. So you put the answer and your email because we need your email. We're good. We're not that good. We got intuition, but we're not telepathic. So you need to put your email with your answer. Now look, you're going to be doing this all day long. You might see someone's got the answer above and you think, oh, I've been entering all day. Keep entering because one big prize to one person. So we've had people in the 4th, 5th, 6th position win like the most incredible things. And they're like, hey, it wasn't, I wasn't number one, but these people had won really great prizes ahead of them. So Leslie's going to tell you what Susan's got, and she's going to ask a question. So you hopefully you were listening and listened to everybody all day so that you can win. I have to say the couple things that you said, Susan, that really landed for me was about listening with your heart. I mean, you were like listening with your ears, and we're so intent on that, and listening with your heart where you get to sometimes hear what's behind the talking. And then the other one was about clearing space. I mean, I think there's just that great sense of freedom. Even when you clear your office or you clear space, it allows for so much more. So that was great. Back to you, Leslie.
Cool. Yeah, and I appreciate those comments too, Deb. The other thing that I love that you said, Susan, was agreeing to disagree, right? We've gotten in this place where we feel like we have to disagree and then like plant our stake in the ground, right? And it used to be where we would have conversations and go, okay, you don't agree, but I understand where you're coming from. So I love that you brought that up. So get ready, gals, like get your email in the chat. I'm telling you, you're going to want to spend time with Susan because what she's giving away is private 90-minute training with her, plus a copy of her new workbook. And this is a $300 value. So Susan gave so much great stuff, right? And I thought about making it a little hard, but I'm going to actually make it really easy. So I'm trusting the person who is supposed to spend that 90 minutes with Susan is going to get it right away. What does aloha actually mean?
That's a great question. And I just want to throw in there that it's a $650 value. So yay, that's incredible.
Well, right? I was like, I had it wrong, but I'll tell you, it's priceless spending 90 minutes with Susan. Like you can already see, you're going to walk away like, oh my gosh, my whole life changed.
Yeah, right? If you're able to communicate better, whatever better means to you, then the response back and the results back from that is absolutely incredible. I think that that's all about sales and business building and result building and relationship building, you know, relationship building. So, all right. So let's do some love and some hearts and some cheers and some this and some that. Thank you so much, Susan. That was amazing.